Is he?
Wait for 7 up Tango 1. I think I see them. They're going to be down by Raising Canes.
Tango.
How are you? It's a little weird.
How you feeling? Okay, good answer. All right. We ready over there?
Are we ready? I'll let Jacob come in.
Call the city council meeting to order today, the 5th day of June. Welcome everybody that's here.
This one is.
Is it working out there? Can you hear it? That's a first. Who switched me mics? All right, how about now?
Yep.
There we go. All right, we're going to recall this meeting to order on June 5th. Welcome everybody that's here. Welcome those in Zoom land. You'll notice we are shy some council members tonight. Vacations, summer stuff's happening, and we do have Councilman Panunzio in Zoom land, and so he will be our third to form a quorum. So he is working, so if he gets on a call, he will have to leave the meeting and we will have to adjourn. So hopefully they have peace in the city he's working tonight and we can get through our meeting. So just to kind of give everybody a heads up, if I adjourn the meeting, that will be why. Let's, Councilwoman Wilson, can you lead us in the pledge?
No, but yes.
All right, and then
Would
Councilman
everybody
Jenkins.
please stand? Sorry.
Yes.
All right, no problem.
And repeat after me. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we are indeed grateful for this beautiful day. We're thankful for the beautiful weather. We are thankful for this amazing city of Plain City. We're thankful for the citizens and where we live and what this city stands for. And we'd ask that that would help us to be able to make decisions that will be beneficial for the citizens of this great city. And we say these things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. All right. So I didn't excuse them. I said they're not here, but Councilman Favero and Councilwoman Beal, so they will be excused tonight. Approval of the minutes from May 15th and then our work meeting on the 23rd.
Diane, did you have a minute to look at those changes that Rachel sent over? I understand that. Okay,
Well,
what do we do in that case?
And my comment was that what Diane puts together for us is never been word for word exact. I think that this does, I think what we have here does cover what was basically said in the meeting.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't have a chance to read. I can't get that close. Okay, I'll sit like this. Okay, this is
You gotta hold your own
this
mic.
is really weird.
There were,
Be easier for her to hold that one?
Oh, I don't really think
Well,
I
that one's
wanna-
got a stand. You could just put it right in front of you.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Jeez, I knew this was gonna be hard, but not this hard. Oh, I'm feeling really special now.
Look at you.
look at that.
Yeah, I think so.
It's working, isn't it?
Just say yes.
Just talk.
Okay.
There you go.
So my comment is that yes, word for word, maybe it didn't cover exactly what Councilman or Councilwoman Beal said, but generally speaking, it covered everything as is, the way.
I thought it was a great summary of it, so she just had texted and asked if I would talk to Diane. So if you've talked to her, we're good.
She sent an email, but it hasn't been responded to. Diane's had a day of,
I didn't even know an email has
Busyness.
been sent out, sorry. So,
so,
okay, well, on that note, I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
May 15th,
May
May
23rd.
23rd.
Thanks.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We got Luigi.
Luigi,
on
do
there?
we have you? Is he still on there? This one might be short, guys. We had a long agenda, but it might be short.
And I have 2 mics. You want me texting?
Luigi, are you there, bud? I don't know if I can spell.
You guys waiting for me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you like
I'm
to
sorry.
vote aye on the minutes?
Aye, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Perfect, thank you. All right, now we got you. All right, next item on the agenda is public comments. Does anybody here wish to address the council? Just come up, state your name and address, please.
Melinda Jensen, 3044 Morning Mist Lane. I live in the Still Creek subdivision. Wanted to bring to the attention of the council, it appears that Visionary is pulling out of the Still Creek subdivision after phase 3. I'm in phase 1, so it doesn't really affect me too much. However, when I spoke with one of their salespeople up in Logan, because it looks like they're not even starting to do anything. Their website no longer lists that they're going to be putting in amenities. I asked her about future building in Still Creek and was told that the model home, the couple of spec homes, and one last lot were up for sale. And they weren't planning on putting anything else in Still Creek. I also asked if they were going to be doing any other building in Plain City. I said like 1 acre lots because of the homesteads right next door. And she said, no, but we've got our stuff in Far West that Visionary's working on. I know that Visionary's here to do their extension today on the Homestead subdivision. Wasn't sure if you're aware that they actually have the entire property up for a bulk sale only, with the buyer to post bond and sign the Mylar after the agreement, after the settlement. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Do me a favor and run over that homestead one more time for me. Just that last part about
Okay,
the
the
Mylar stuff.
homesteads, if you want, I printed out.
Thank you.
On the second page is the picture of the sign that they have posted at the end of the street by the patio homes in Still Creek in phase 1. I tried to call her a couple of times today and didn't get an answer, but on her website and on there, and on the second page, I've outlined it in red where it says that those 22 lots are up for sale as a bulk buy only. Bulk purchase only. And
So they're
that-
selling the whole development,
They're selling the, yep,
which is fine.
yeah, okay. I just wasn't sure if you guys were aware. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
no, I didn't know about it. I haven't been over that way for a hot minute, so,
Okay.
yeah.
I just
No,
wanted
thank
to
you,
bring
though.
it to your attention.
Yeah.
Was all on that. So,
Okay,
great, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Anyone in Zoom land raising their hand? Okay, thank you. All right, report from the Planning Commission. Is that you, Mr. Rob?
Looks like
Well.
Rob's here.
Rob's our guarantee.
I was hoping it wasn't me, though, because I was the one holdout on one of these, so I hope I can represent the whole commission.
That's the one opinion.
We had let's see, we set a public hearing for June 12th for the residential overlay for the David Pitcher property. That's at 2500 North, 5100 West. That's just a public hearing. So then we had,
Hey, Rob,
Go
can
ahead.
I ask you about that? You had that public hearing and they were gonna be 18.5, is that correct?
That's what the future land use meant.
So what is it that the last public hearing was about? Wasn't it about the lot size down the one that you were just talking about on 2500 and 5100?
Yeah.
And now they're gonna do an overlay, so,
I think the public hearing before would have been on the rezone. I'm not sure if that's, I don't remember,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll come to planning,
Okay.
okay,
And just pull the minutes up too.
yeah. Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, I was a little confused, bear with me tonight.
Yeah. I'd have to look that up to be sure, so I'm sorry about that.
No,
I
no, no, you're good.
can't remember, but. Okay. After that, we had a lot line adjustment for John Dixon, and I think we were able to approve that ourselves. I don't think that comes to you anymore, so. That was just just a lot line adjustment. After that, we had a first review for Silver Valley subdivision. That's at 3050 West, that goes between the 1975 and 2200. That's the David Skeen property. And so our process now, we do a first review and just to make sure that it's a complete application, and then they'll come in next time with their actual application, and we'll review it, do our first application motion at that point. And so then we had another first review on the Marsh Mountain View subdivision. That's at 2200 North, 3450 West. That's the Joe Marsh property. So we'll see the details on that coming up. And then finally, the bulk of our conversation was about the homestead acres from Visionary Homes. And that was for an extension. We ended up, the commission made the motion to approve the extension because we thought that we would approve that, but apparently that has to come to you first. It's for final approval, so that's here I think that's on the agenda tonight for you. We had a lot of discussion on that because that's the property that has the ditch going up the west side of it, and it cuts off the backyards of all those homes on the west side. And so I still have a huge problem with it because it cuts off about 3,000 to 4,000 feet of each of those backyards. And I think that's a lot to be cutting off of somebody's back, and that's property that they can't access because we talked about the ordinance, because we were told that they were going to have a gate and they could access it and build something out of it, but that's not even, they have to fence it off completely according to the ordinance. And I think that we're reading the ordinance wrong. I think the intention of the ordinance is obviously that if you have an open ditch, you either have to bury it or you fence it off completely from the rest of the development. That's how I read it. But I was outnumbered and they felt like that was okay for them to do, but they're cutting off, a huge part of those backyards, and so I was against it. So we disagreed on that vote, but they passed it, and so that's coming to you tonight. So that's your decision, though, and that's all we had. Do you have anything to take back?
No, obviously by our packet, you guys have been working hard, so thank you.
Yep, and I
Yep,
can answer any
thank you.
questions if you have them.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, we have a presentation on elections by our very own Ricky Hatch. Welcome back, Richie.
Thank
Been a
you.
hot minute.
Yeah, it has.
How you been?
Always nice. Good.
Good.
Great. Always good to be in Plain City. Love it. Yeah. Okay. We'll see if that's better. I always have to move the mic down.
Bring
It's
it
just
down.
That's how it is. Okay, Diane told me I had to keep it within 90 minutes, so I'll work
90
really hard.
seconds. I hope your, what is it, PowerPoint is sweet.
I hope so. No, you have a busy schedule, and this is, we'll keep it to within 10 minutes. I'll go through it pretty quick. We appreciate you working with us and asking or contracting with the county to run your elections. We realize that you have a choice. You could choose to run them yourself. If you did, Diane would quit. Because it's a lot of work, but we work really well. Diane works really well with us, and we're excited to be able to provide election services to you this year. So thank you. I'm going to go through these slides fairly quickly. but there's some new information that I think will be helpful. First off, I just want to talk briefly between 84 and 2011, voter turnout dropped dramatically. And that meant in 2011, one person's vote counted for 50 other people who either couldn't vote because they weren't old enough, or they were in jail, or they chose not to vote. But if you look at the trends, oh, now I've got to put on my glasses. If you look at the trends, these are primary elections in even years. And the G's you see are the peaks. Those are when we had gubernatorial primary elections. So you can see the different percentages, but you look in 2014, it was 7%, with a high in 2020 of 62%.
Ricky, are these numbers just of all Weber County, or?
This is just Weber County, yeah.
Weber County, okay.
Yep. In general elections, again, you see the peaks and valleys. The peaks are presidential elections. That's every 4 years you see the spike there. And then if you look in municipal elections, again, this isn't Plain City specific, but this is county-wide. Plain City, these are the turnout for those. And if you can see a definite change in turnout where it increased right around 2015. And you wonder what that was? That was when we began mailing all active registered voters a ballot. That has dramatically increased turnout. In municipal elections, it pretty much doubles turnout for your elections. That's what the numbers have shown. We're going to talk tonight briefly about election integrity and the 4 pillars of election integrity. That's what these are here. The first 3 of these pillars are audited, and you're going to see this word flash up a bit because it's important. Anytime we use technology, or frankly any process, we should really, you can use technology, but you got to audit the heck out of it, and that's what we do. So we'll talk about that. First off, I want to talk about the voter registration database. It is protected by a separation of powers that we have. So the Lieutenant Governor's Office provides the hardware, provides the software, and the support to make sure that the application runs. But they don't change the data. They don't touch the data. That's the county clerk's job. So the county clerks are the ones who change and update the voter registration records. The Lieutenant Governor's Office also audits our work to make sure that we're doing it properly. We're attaching the proper documentation that evidences why we changed somebody's address or party affiliation or anything like that. And they do that audit behind the scenes. We don't see that until they've completed the audit, so we don't know when they're auditing us. They do it year-round. They audit every county, every quarter. And so it's a good separation of powers that we have to make sure that the voter registration database stays clean. For a voter to get registered, they have to provide a driver's license or a state ID or the last 4 of their social. And we have to be able to verify that either with the Driver's License Division or with the Social Security Administration. If we can't verify that, we don't register them to vote. We reach out to the voter and ask for additional documentation. We also maintain the voter rolls. We check for duplicate registration, deceased voters. We receive notices from the Postal Service. And we also update through the National Change of Address. Back in 2013, we ran a special election, in the countywide special election. We mailed out probably about 80,000 ballots. We got almost 20,000 ballots back as undeliverable. 20% of those ballots came back as undeliverable in 2013. Now when we mail out ballots, we mailed out about 135,000 ballots in last November, 1.9%. So our rolls are much cleaner now than they've ever been, both in Weber County and across the state. And this is subject to audit. The voter list is subject to the audit of the Lieutenant Governor.
Ricky, can you go
Yes.
back one?
Absolutely.
Why is it only 24 other states?
There's a state
Councilman?
consortium that you have to agree to and belong to, and in order to belong to it, you have to agree as a state that you're going to provide them with data. And that data comes from, a lot of it comes from the Driver's License Division. Some states don't want to do that. And so it's just 24 other states. I'd love it if we could get all 50 states.
It'd be nice, but I wondered if that was the problem.
Yeah.
I want to go back to where you were showing the increase from, was it 13 to now?
14.
14?
Right there.
As
In
much as
turnout?
I enjoy sitting at my kitchen table and filling out my ballot, right? I feel like I'm pretty educated in who I'm voting for and why I'm voting for them, right? I love the mail-in ballot, but there's so many uneducated voters that, you know, they don't make that effort. I would make the effort to go to a voting poll every year, every 2 years, whatever it might be, right? I'm gonna make that effort. And it's also because I've educated myself. I mean, like I said, I love that I can sit at my home, but there's that element of just uneducated voters. Just, is there any way that they could take a 5-question test to see if they even have an idea of anything on a ballot, like voting for a bond extension or something to that effect, right? That,
Yeah.
is there any way that we can do that so that we have people that either educate themselves because, they're like, hey, I have to answer these 5 questions. Maybe I should do some studying.
Right. And it's a valid concern. I've always wanted to make sure that the voters are as educated as possible. There's not a way that we can do that. The Constitution has been amended to specifically prevent that because it was abused in the past. However, to me, the biggest benefit of mailing a ballot to a voter isn't turnout. To me, that's a side benefit, but it does come with the risk that you stated, that there could be less informed voting. But I actually believe mailing the ballot increases informed voting, because this may not have happened to you, but it's happened to me when I've gone to vote in person, and I'll pull out the ballot and I'll go, oh, I didn't know there was a constitutional amendment, or I didn't know about this bond or this race, and now I've got my ballot and I'm in the voting booth, and I don't know what to do. But
Oh,
with
I see that
you get the
angle for
ballot in
sure.
advance. And
bet.
we do send, we've sent sample ballots, and people can always look online. This is just a proactive way to get the ballot so they see exactly what they need to vote for. So it does help with that a little bit. But you're right, that when you have just strictly voting in person, folks that may not care as much and may not research as much are less likely to turn up at the polls.
But on the other side, you've got the elderly that couldn't come to the polls that actually can vote now through their mail.
Correct. Yeah, and no system is ideal and perfect. Each system has its pros and its cons as far as turnout, educated voting, and different things like that. But what we do in Utah and in Weber County especially is we provide the options. We'll never move to a 100% vote by mail situation, and we'll never revoke the ability for folks who are homebound
Want to
or
vote in
out of
person.
state for that whole period or something like that.
All right.
Want that ability. And the legislature made some pretty drastic changes this year that I'll talk about in just a few minutes. Let's talk a little bit about the security of the ballot envelope. Ballots, as we process to make sure that it's a legitimate ballot that relates to this election, all of that, and as we verify signatures, all that is done while the ballot is sealed. So we have no idea how that voter has voted, and we do that on purpose. There's also no party information on the outside of the envelope, and so we don't even know what party that voter belongs to when they return the ballot. Every ballot envelope has this unique control number on it that's auto-generated. It's specific to the voter, to the election, and actually to that envelope. And that's a key control that we use when processing ballots or envelopes. Now, stuff happens, dogs eat ballots and different things like that, and so we have a way to correct for that. If we want to replace a ballot, let's say Mayor Beasley, you say, oh, I lost my ballot, we can send you a new one, but only after we've spoiled the original one. So that control number is now spoiled. The system generates a new one, and we can mail that out to you. If you were going to try and be tricky and return both of those, the first one would get rejected by our system. Right as soon as it comes in the door, it would be rejected. And then we'd probably have you get a call from the FBI or
nice.
the county attorney.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
We would count that, yeah.
Good. That was going to be my follow-up on that.
Yeah,
Was how quick does that turnaround happen?
yeah, and we,
Go for it.
With your name.
I don't want the FBI at my house.
This is the envelope sorter. So what that does is it scans the barcode that has that unique control number on it, verifies that that belongs to a legitimate active voter who is qualified to vote in this particular election and hasn't already voted and hasn't had that ballot spoiled. And then it takes a picture of the voter signature, in fact, the whole back side of the envelope as well. We do signature verification. Every envelope signature is compared to up to 5 signatures that we have on file. And if it's challenged, if at any point it's challenged, it goes to an additional layer, 2 additional levels of review. And in the end, if it's if it just doesn't match, we contact the voter and give them a chance to submit a correct signature. It's called curing the ballot, but that's a process that we go through. The signature verification process is audited. We have to audit it in real time as we're actually comparing the signatures. We keep statistics on each reviewer. Each reviewer is trained, and if we notice statistics they're accepting or rejecting a higher or lower amount than kind of is normal, we pull them aside and do additional training or even remove them if they're not performing properly. So that's subject to auditing. We also have chain of custody as we are processing ballots. It's always the buddy system. That's by state law. Always 2 people whenever any ballot is moved or touched or changed. They're not changed, but processed, taken out of the envelope, etc.
That was a bad word, bud.
Yeah, that was not the right thing to say, was it?
Words matter.
Yep. They have to initial the card so we know exactly who touched which ballots throughout the entire life cycle of the process. We do reconciliations throughout the process. If we're ever even one off, and we process 100,000 ballots in an election, if we're even one off in our reconciliation point, we stop everything, we go back and find it. This is our ballot scanner. This is, I'm not going to go through all these, it's certified, it's never connected to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth now, but that's according to state law now, but we've never had it connected. It has security seals, and we do what's called a hash audit. That's like you take a digital fingerprint of a system, the hardware, firmware, and software, and it creates this replicatable code that doesn't change unless the system changes. Someone adds a file, someone inserts a new piece of hardware, something like that. That changes that digital fingerprint. We do this hash audit before every election, before we count any ballots, and we do it after, right before we certify. And that gives us comfort that that machine has not been touched. It hasn't been altered in any way. Now, we've been doing this for a few years in Weber County. Now state law requires all counties to do these hash audits, which I think it's a great thing. And these machines are audited. They're audited before, during, and after every election in publicly announced meetings where anybody can come and observe. The last pillar is voter responsibility. It's up to us as voters to make sure that our address is current. And you can easily check that a couple of different ways. One is you go to vote.utah.gov, it'll have you enter your name and address and like date of birth, something like that, and it'll pull up and tell you exactly where the voter registration says that you live, who your elected officials are, who's on your ballot, and various things like that. And then you can change that if you need. You can also change it through DLD, Driver's License Division. And if you change it online through the Driver's License Division, you can click a button that says, I want you to also update my voter registration. It's actually an opt-out. It will allow you to allow that information to port over to us, and we'll automatically update your information. You can also track the status of your ballots. We will send you, if you sign up for Ballot Tracks, it's a free service. When we mail you your ballot, we'll send you a text or an email or even a phone call. When we receive it back in our office, same thing, text, email, or phone call. And then once we've counted, verified your signature, made sure everything is legitimate, then we send you a third text, email. It's a great way to make sure, hey, I dropped my ballot in the drop box. It's been 4 days. I haven't received anything. What's going on? And it's a great way to take control of your own ballot. The other thing that is helpful is the Postal Service has something called informed delivery. And this is cool, just not even for elections. It's cool just in general. You receive an email every morning that shows what mail you're receiving in the mail that day. And it actually shows an image of the mail piece, of all the mail pieces. It's a pretty cool thing. You sign up for it, it's free, and you'll know exactly what day your ballots are going to be arriving. as well as your bills, which we all love. And then lastly, if you get a ballot for somebody who's moved out or no longer lives at your address, just give our office a call and we can help make sure that doesn't happen. As I mentioned, we have audits that are performed in full public view before, during, and after each election. We love having people come. No one ever comes to watch, and we love it when they come to watch. We get excited.
Hey, it's a lot like city council meeting. This is the biggest group we've had in quite some
That's right. This is yeah. Well, I'd love it if we had 20 people. I think the most we've ever had is 3. Okay, let's talk about new laws. First new law is Utah is no longer a postmark plus state, meaning your ballots have to be either in a drop box or in our office by 8 p.m. on election night. No more grace period for folks who mail it. Let's say they mail it the Monday before election day and it takes a couple days to get to us. We can't count those anymore. We have to be in possession of those by 8 p.m.
Not even postmarked, huh?
No postmark, yeah. About half the states do that. Half the states they still have some form of postmark. As an election administrator, having it ballot in hand, it's easier for us. But I prefer the postmark plus because sometimes people put it, they live on the East Coast and there's a big storm and they mailed it a week before and now they won't be able to vote. But the legislature changed it and I support them, and of course we'll make sure that law is implemented.
Ricky, what is the percentage of drop off in the box compared to mail-ins?
Yeah, usually it's about 64% statewide. Well, no, Weber County, it's about 64% use drop boxes. About 30, depending on the election, 33%, about half of that use mail. Then usually about 3% vote in person.
I just think the drop box is so much safer.
I do too. I think because drop boxes, those are picked up by election staff. They're under camera.
I was going to say they're under surveillance 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that better. And the post office, they're great, but when you process millions and millions of pieces of mail every day, stuff happens. And
Stuff can get lost. Yeah.
If you want to be sure, you put it in a drop box, or you drop it off in person, or you come vote in person.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, this is a little bit complex, but I'll go through it. We'll start on the right side, ID versus signature. Okay, starting now and up to 2029, January 1 of 2029, you are going to be asked in Weber County to put the last 4 of your driver's license or your state ID, or if you don't have that, the last 4 of your social on the back of the envelope. And if you don't, for this year, if you don't put those numbers, we still verify your signature and everything is normal. So you still sign your ballot envelope, but we want you to put those numbers in, and we can, if you do, we verify off of the number. And if you don't, we verify off of your signature. Starting in January 2029, you have to put the last 4. And if you don't, you have to include ID inside the ballot, inside the envelope. And we will no longer be validating signatures in 2029, just going off of the numbers. That was just passed this year in the legislature. Personally, I don't think that enhances our security. I think it's easier to get the last 4 of someone's numbers than it is to copy their signature. But we still have a few years, and hopefully we'll be able to work with the legislature and maybe enhance that so it's even more secure.
Why didn't they keep the signatures and just do both?
They said they felt that the signature review was too subjective.
Okay.
That was one of the main things. There's some question as to how strong that argument is, especially with our audits and with the training that we do and different things. Anyway, so that's ID versus signature. You're now going to be required, starting in 2029 anyway, you'll be required to put last 4 of your driver's license number on there. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Now let's move over to voter's choice. This is the change that we were talking about earlier, just a minute, Mayor Beasley, and that is before 2029, no change. All active registered voters will receive a ballot in the mail unless they have opted out, like they said, I don't want to receive one in the mail. And in Weber County, we have about 24 voters out of 135,000 who have consciously said, don't mail me a ballot.
12?
What's that?
Did you say 12?
About 24.
Oh, 2 dozen.
24.
Yeah.
I was way off.
And voters will begin to be able to make a choice. Now, when you look at your new voter registration forms, or if you go online to update that, you will be given a choice. How would you like to receive your ballot? By mail, or do you want to vote in person? And if you check, I want to vote in person, then we stop mailing you a ballot, and you have to vote in person. If you check by mail, then you remain on the list, and you will remain on that list for 8 years, a minimum, until you make that choice again. And that 8 years is the valid term of your driver's license. And that's specifically why the legislature chose that. Starting in 2029, if a voter hasn't made this choice, we stop mailing them a ballot. We can't mail them a ballot. So we're going to do a campaign over the next few years to encourage voters, make this choice. Whatever your choice is, just make it, because you don't want to be in November of 2029 and all of a sudden you can't vote because you're going to be out of town and you forgot to tell us that you wanted a mailed ballot. The other thing that happens in 2029 is if a voter misses 2 consecutive even year elections, general elections, we don't mail them a ballot. It's like they check that box. We just don't mail it. They would have to vote in person. Any questions on these new laws? Okay, let's look at a sneak peek. This is hot off the press. We just gave final approval this afternoon to this design. This is the back of your return envelope, and you'll see you still have to sign it, and we'll always have to sign it because that's an affidavit. So even if we stop verifying signatures, we need the signature to show that you're saying that, yes, this ballot belongs to me and I'm a legitimate voter. And then you would add the last 4 of your driver's license number or the last 4 of your social. And you can also put your email and phone number if you want. And we just use that that never goes to parties or candidates or campaigns. We use that just for election purposes. So that's what the back of your envelope is going to look like. And then lastly, just if you need information, go to weberelections.gov, or you can go to vote.utah.gov, and you're welcome to email us or call us. Our phone numbers are plastered all over our website, on the back of the envelopes, everywhere. And as a city council, if you ever are interested to come take a tour of our offices, we would love that. We're going to do candidate tours this year for anybody who wants to come see the process, look at the equipment. And I'll do tours for anybody, Cub Scout groups, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, church groups, family members. If you want to just have one of you come, I'd love to take you through our office and show you what we do and what our controls are.
Is your voter office set up year-round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Probably too complicated to set up and,
yeah, the equipment just sits there.
is it at the Weber Center?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
It's in a locked room that has camera surveillance, and we're usually not there during the off hours. We have offices right next to it, but we're usually not in where the equipment is. But we go in periodically, and as we update the equipment or move out old elections documents that need to go to storage and things like that.
Well, I
that's
just
it.
have to say it's come a long way since I worked in elections in 1986. People would call in and we'd have to grab a map of Weber County to find out what precinct they were in. It was utter chaos.
Yeah.
And then you were there all night long. Yeah. This is so slick.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
really
Yeah.
good. You've done a great job.
Thank you. We have a
And
really
no
good team.
disrespect, we were up here laughing about how I would sign a ballot.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just told her, make your mark.
She's just like, that was me.
There actually is a box that folks who
You
had
can't
a
sign-
stroke or broken arm or just degeneration or something like that, they can check a box, and we take that in consideration. We have other ways to verify.
They think of everything.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ricky, but you created this system, correct? Didn't you
He,
ramrod this whole thing and then you went back to Washington, D.C. and proposed it or something?
Well, I would like to claim credit for that. This system
Oh, I
has
thought you were
morphed.
cooler than that.
We were, no, not at all. Weber was the first large county to conduct a by-mail election. Duchesne County was the first one. They did it in 2012.
Oh.
We had a special library bond election, and we chose to do vote by mail. So we were the kind of the first big county to cut our teeth. And we've worked with the other county clerks and with the Lieutenant Governor's office to really refine and hone this process. And other states have asked us to help train them, to help go to their conferences and talk about vote by mail, talk about vote centers. And I was asked to testify before Congress about voting by mail and security surrounding that. So, yeah, I do think Weber County and Utah is on the leading edge, and other states do look at what we do, but we can always do better. And we refine it every year. We try to lock it down, make it better, more efficient, and more secure.
Well, I think your statistic that showed 20-something% of lost ballots or returned ballots compared to 1.9% or
Yeah.
whatever that was, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
It's a lot of work, and it takes when, like in off years, non-presidential years, where it's not as many voters and not as many elections, we're constantly scrubbing that voter list, making sure that we have all
Yeah, that's great.
auditing it and just trying to make it better. That's all I had. Was it
Thank you.
like 10 minutes about?
That was 15. It was shy
It's a 90 minutes,
of
so-
90.
Managing expectations, that's what it's all about. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you, and I'd love to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I'm going to go have dinner.
Well, good for you.
Great.
Thanks, Ricky. And unfortunately, we have lost our third council meeting, or council member, and so we will have to adjourn the meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, he's on a doozy. So we will try to reschedule. I don't know if we're gonna try to reschedule for another night, just so that we don't have a monster agenda in a couple weeks. So we'll see what we can do, and we'll send out an email, but I don't,
Do we need a motion?
I was gonna say, do we need a motion?
We don't
We-
have a
If we don't
Attorney?
have
Attorneys?
quorum, so nope.
we don't have a quorum to vote.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you all for coming. Sorry we had to cut it short. This is the first time in 7.5 years that this has happened for me. And so, I apologize. But have a great night, everybody. Thank you.